Perry Pencil.
Hello, this is Perry Pencil and welcome to the next video tutorial step by step. I've been requested to do Sentry a while back. Please forgive me, I don't remember who requested it, but if you see this video, I will definitely give you credit for it. So let's begin. What I'll be doing for today with Sentry is I'm going to be focusing on a waist-high drawing and as an action pose, of course, because he's somewhat like Superman. So let's jump in here. Okay, so you want to start off with a sketch of a head, right? Right in about the center of the paper. And then you want to have his shoulders come in this way, right? So you always want to do like a circular shape for the torso. And then we always want to put a line that goes down the center, so let that go off the page, of course. Now, it's going to be a foreshortened drawing, of course, because we have his fist coming towards you. So what I usually like to do is just start off by layering. So you want to do his shoulder here, right? And I'll always do the measurement. So let's go off to the side here with the center line. And then you want to take your hand and you want to go from the middle line and slide it right over. You'll have where his other shoulder should be, right here. So as I marked it here, the shoulder is going to be behind his head, so you're really not going to see it. So I'm going to put a line here so you can see exactly what I'm doing with positioning of the line that is running across his shoulder blade here. And then the next one is going to be his bicep and tricep, right? And then we have his fist coming forward like this. And his thumb is going to wrap around this way. And then this arm is going to be behind him, so we're going to have his forearm come around right out of the shoulder, like this. And then have this other fist come around. You could just draw a box for now, we can get to that later. And then his shoulder's going to come up like this. So of course his waist, we're going to kind of see it going off the page here. And then you have a little bit of a hint of a leg here. And then the other leg kind of going like this, right? So now we have the figure sketched in. Let's go ahead on and infer a cape. So with the cape, well, since we have the figure drawn in here, let's go ahead on and deal with the detail. All right, so we're gonna zoom in for his face here. And with his face, it's a typical face. Nothing spectacular. I'm gonna come in, I'm starting off with the chin because that's kind of, I want to kind of focus with that because the chin is going to decide what kind of facial feature he's going to have. And once you sketch the jawline in here, you want to go ahead and put the eyeline in, right? Because this face is somewhat smaller, you want to kind of make it simple as possible. So we're going to have a bit of a frown here for his eyebrow, come off like this. And go in here and make it, because he's blonde, his eyebrows don't get colored in. And let's go ahead and put his eyes in like this. For his nose, it's going to be very simple. He's going to have not a wide bridge of a nose, but a simple nose that comes around kind of like this, right? And drop that line in for his nostrils. And keep in mind, when you're drawing an action pose in a kind of Superman figure, they always have a serious look on their face, pretty much like they mean business. And then you can go ahead on and drop his lips in, like so. And I like to kind of have his mouth open a little bit and drop a line in underneath that for his bottom lip. Now, we're gonna put his ears in. Just drop his ears in where his nose and his eyes is. All right, and keep it simple. It doesn't, drawings don't always have to be super perfect. And so we're gonna do what I call a wig cap. So we're gonna draw his hairline in here, right? And let's just bring it around with a box shape. Once you get this box shape in on the top of his head when you're drawing, you can kind of go from there and realize how you want his hair to be. So off of where his eyebrow area is, if you see me sketching right there on the side, we're gonna bring the hairline in right there. And because Sentry has so much hair, we're going to go ahead and put that there and kind of have hair swooping around like this. And we're going to have fun with this one because he has a lot of hair. So I'm going to do one lock like this, right? And then just kind of off of the side of his head come up and just kind of have a little swivel here. Do the same thing for the opposite side here, right? And then just have the rest of his hair go crazy. And then have it come around to the side of his head. And once you get this motion going, what you want to do is just kind of play around with his hair going wild. And then down behind his head like this, see? Have it come from one side there. Swooping around. And with hair, you can kind of be as creative as you want. And no, Sentry does not have a S-curl like Superman, which I'm thankful for because it'd have been a complete ripoff, and I'm just being honest. Alright, so you see we have his hair sketched in here, kind of going in that direction, right? So now we can go ahead on and deal with some of the musculature, which I'll bring in right here. So off the shoulder and off his ear, you want to bring that muscle in just like that. And I'm going to drop his shoulder in, right? And then come around to his chest area. You just put a line right behind his chin. And then you put the other shoulder in, just round it off. It doesn't have to be anything spectacular. And then when you're dealing with his chest, we're gonna bring his chest down to about here. So that's what's gonna make the heroic aspect of Sentry look good, is we're gonna put the chest in, right? Put the muscle here. It doesn't have to be super ripped. When I'm drawing action characters, I don't always make them super ripped, although it looks cool, but sometimes it's a bit unrealistic. And I like to go for a little bit of authenticity when I'm drawing my characters that I'm working on. And right underneath here, just have this go in just like this. And he has kind of like these bracelets on, so you can go ahead and kind of get that going there and bring this up like this. Just drop his eyes in there. Don't want to leave that out. And kind of put a facial tone in here. Now for his fist, this fist is going to be somewhat of a separate illustration. So we're going to put circle here, right? Circle here, circle here. And this is almost a tutorial in of itself on how to draw fists. So with this index finger, you're going to just bring a line in like this, right? Middle finger, do the same thing. And they each recede. Like if you notice I have a line here, it's going to come down and drop lower. And then finally the pinky tucks behind everything. So it has a certain distinction to it where the knuckles recede over top of one another. Then the main knuckle wraps around, of course, everything else into the thumb. Let that thumb drop down a little bit. And then we're going to give him a bit of a rib cage here. So I have this, if you notice I did like this W shape and then come up in the center. Notice I'm using my center line here to give that lower part of the body. Come around to the waist. Now the important piece here is he has a waistband, kind of almost like a championship belt shape, goes around, and he has an S in the shape of Sentry, you know, kind of tapers in this way. I'll sketch it in real dark so you can see it. Come around like this and then like this and drop it around like that, and you pretty much got what the S should look like. And of course straighten this out, move it over a little bit so it could be a little bit more accurate right there to the edge. Have this go here, and these two lines of course is going to go off the page, so we don't really need that. And of course he has a another part for this costume that comes around his shoulders like this and comes down to the middle of his chest. Do the same thing on the other side. And of course I'm going to put that band in here for his wrist there. Let me just put some more swooping lines in here. Now for his, excuse me, for his left fist, I'm going to just simply come in and put the medial part of the muscle there, bring this around and put a line there for the thumb. And then this kind of comes around like this, right? Index finger, middle finger, ring finger, and then of course the pinky tucks in always. And you bring that fist in like that. Now, the final thing we're going to sketch in is going to be his cape. Of course, he does have a cape like Superman. And when you do a cape, honestly, you can kind of, it's abstract. It doesn't have a particular shape to it because it's flowing in the wind. So you can just kind of follow my line here. I'm kind of going in, having this line come up like this, around, back down again. This is the outside of the cape. Have that go behind the arm. And then have the, like the way I measure it is from this point here, this is where you want the underside of the cape to wrap around. And it's going to go right behind the waist, like so. Then we're going to deal with the other side, do the same thing. Have the cape come in, up, and over in the S shape. And then it's going to come over like this. This is a fold. Underneath this point, you're going to drop this down. And then it's going to come around again. And have it come under the fist around the waist on this side. And you can add some lines in here. And of course this fold comes in like this. And behind his back. Same thing here. And here. Now, for those of you who've kept up this far, this is the sketch portion of Sentry, and what I'm going to do is clean it up because it is kind of messy, and I want to clean it up, and then you can see what it looks like at the end of the video. Feel free to pause and take a look at it once it's completed.